We're talking about our aunties or our sisters, however you like to refer to them as, the Real Housewives of Atlanta. People have been talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta is a flop. People wanting them to bring back some of the OGs. Nene is my favorite. We're gonna call ourselves the Leakers. Porsha is phenomenal television. Kim Zolciak. All right. Stop asking for Phaedra to come back, y'all. Cynthia Bailey, she is an example of a really solid housewife. I love seeing Candy succeed on this show. Kenya Summer Moore, a living, breathing Black Barbie doll. Sheree's always gonna be good for a funny moment. Don't eat me up, y'all, because I know y'all like to tussle. I think the door is closed on the OGs from Real Housewives of Atlanta, but wait. Hold your tomatoes. Don't throw them yet. Let's go through each OG housewife and talk about why I think the door is closed on them. And then we can kind of talk about where I think they could go in terms of their future with the show. So let's just jump right into it. Welcome back, friends. My name is Jasmine, and I am here talking all things TV. And today is a very special conversation. We're talking about our aunties or our sisters, however you like to refer to them as, the Real Housewives of Atlanta, one of my all-time favorite shows. But this season, there has been a little bit of controversy. People have been talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta is a flop. I don't think it's a flop, but there's been so many different opinions on this current season, and I want to run through it. Particularly, I want to talk about a lot of the chatter about how they should stack the cast for season 16. And a lot of that is from people wanting them to bring back some of the OGs. And when I think about OGs, we are talking about the core women, like the women that you think of when you think of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. You think obviously Nene, Kim Zolciak, however you may feel about her, Porsha Williams, Kenya, Candy, Cynthia, right? So there are a few women who joined in later seasons, but they are who people refer to when they talk about the OGs. And so I think the audience is very well intentioned when they ask for the OGs to return. But I, as always, am here to offer a different perspective, right? I personally, don't eat me up, y'all, because I know y'all like to tussle. I think the door is closed on the OGs from Real Housewives of Atlanta. But wait. Hold your tomatoes. Don't throw them yet. Let's go through each OG housewife and talk about why I think the door is closed on them. And then we can kind of talk about the current season, the current cast, and where I think they could go in terms of their future with the show. So let's just jump right into it. We obviously are going to start with the queen bee, the face of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Nene Leakes. Okay. Nene is my favorite. She's my second favorite reality TV star of all time, only coming after the queen herself, Tiffany New York Pollard. But Nene is, oh my gosh, so iconic, right? I would apply to be the president of the Nene Leakes fan club. What are we called? Are we called the Leakers? I like the Leakers. We're gonna call ourselves the Leakers. Okay. I want to be president of the Leakers fan club because Nene is just amazing. She is top tier television. She has so many quotables, but we all know that Nene had a lot of controversy surrounding her exit. And I don't think she's in good standing with Bravo. I don't think she's in good standing with Andy. I think Andy specifically said the door is closed on Nene. Asking Nene to come back at this point, while it will feel nostalgic, it will feel good. I think Nene is a different reality star than she was in her first few seasons, right? And that could be, good or bad depending on how you want to look at it. But I think what people are asking to get Nene back, they're asking for seasons 1 through 6 Nene, right? They're thinking we're gonna get Pillow Talk Nene back, right? I don't know that the Nene that we'll get. She's also going through a crazy tough time. Like her husband, Greg Leakes, who was also a mainstay and one of the most lovable husbands on television, he passed away. And while she has moved on, she's in another relationship. They were married for such a long time. You don't just get over that. And I think coming on TV, while the viewing audience will, I think, initially be supportive of her, it could be a really slippery slope, right? The minute she does something that the audience doesn't care for, the minute she goes after somebody that the audience is, considering their flavor of the week, I feel like the viewing audience would be really, really vicious toward her. And not to mention some of the ladies on the cast. I don't have faith that all of them would just not completely go for the jugular, particularly as we've seen them in season 14 and 15. Mainly Marlo. I know they were really close at one point. I don't know what their relationship is like now, but we know Marlo likes to really go there when she feels attacked by someone. And I'll just hate for Nene to come back, her and Marlo get into it, and Marlo say something about Greg or anything that could be really, really hurtful for Nene. I don't want to see her go through that. And so, yeah, for that reason, I don't think that Nene should return to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Moving on, Porsha Williams. Oh my gosh. Porsha is phenomenal television. She is funny. She is beautiful. She really personifies, again, like Nene, what a reality TV star should be. Porsha doesn't want us in her business right now, though. And rightfully so, because there is some controversy, if you will, surrounding how she ended up marrying her current husband, Simon. And I think for Porsha, she wants to really just enjoy being a newlywed. And coming back to the show, every time the ladies get into it with Porsha, they're going to bring up kind of the shady circumstances, if you will, surrounding her marriage. That's going to be like their biggest talking point when it comes to Porsha. And I feel like Porsha doesn't want to do that, episode through episode of people just trying to come through and tear down her marriage. I will say this though, I think Porsha, more than any of these other ladies, in my opinion, is actually prime for reality television right now, right? She, especially as we think of the Housewives. She is one, actually married. She's actually a housewife. And two, her lifestyle is aspirational. I mean, I want to see her on TV just for the lifestyle porn alone. I want to see that new home. I want to see all of her travels. I want to see how she's taking care of her beautiful daughter right now. Like, Porsha has a lifestyle that I think a lot of us would love to have a peek into. But the other side of that is people coming in and kind of tearing down something that I think she is holding really sacred right now. And so I don't blame her. So also don't think Porsha should return at this time. Although if she did decide to come back, I will watch it. Speaking of Nene and Porsha, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Luann and Sonia have a show coming out called Crappy Lake or something like that. I hope I'm getting the name right. I would have loved to see Porsha and Nene have a show similar to that. I think Luann and Sonia are gonna do great. I like them a lot on TV. Maybe have them go to a farm or something just completely out of their bougie element and watch them kind of go through things, learning to live off the land. Oh, I would love to see them maybe, I don't know, learn how to survive with like a doomsday prepper or something like that. I don't know, but the two of them together, some of my favorite moments on Real Housewives of Atlanta have been with the two of them because they were just so funny together. They have an interesting dynamic. So I'd have loved to see them do something like Crappy Lake, but like I said, I don't think Nene has a good relationship with Bravo right now, and I don't know what's going on with Porsha. Listen, maybe another network might want to. I mean, look, if another network does decide to do that, call me, all right? Because you got the idea here first. Kim Zolciak. All right. Unpopular opinion time, guys. I'm gonna be honest. I never lived for Kim like that. Like a lot of you see, I know. I was always really indifferent on her. Like she was funny, sure. But when she wasn't on the show, I didn't really think about her. When she was on the show, it was like, okay, awesome. Tardy for the party, her show with her family. I've never watched a second of that. So I don't know if she was different on that show. I've just never been like a super fan of Kim like that. And so for that reason, the door could be open or closed with her. It doesn't matter to me either way. If she comes back for season 16, I'll watch it. If not, I'm not under her Instagram comments like a lot of people are asking her when she's going to return because I personally don't know that she is the savior for the show. I know she's going through a divorce right now, but I'm really indifferent. And so take it or leave it. It is what it is. Phaedra. All right. I'm asking for Phaedra to come back, y'all. I don't think she's coming back, particularly to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. She's all Married to Medicine now, which is my favorite or like in my top 2 favorite shows on Bravo. If you haven't tapped in, make sure you tap in, particularly if you are a person who has been asking for Phaedra to come back to the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So go and watch her over there. She was also on the Real Housewives of Dubai, which I couldn't get past, I think episode 1 of that, but that's, another video for another day. So for that reason, right, I don't think she's returning to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm okay with that. I am gonna happily watch her on Married to Medicine. I thought Phaedra was really funny on Real Housewives of Atlanta, and she does make for really good TV. So yeah, go ahead and watch her on the other show, but it's not gonna be RHOA. Cynthia. Okay, Cynthia Bailey. I like Cynthia. She is an example of a really solid housewife. She's beautiful. She's funny. She is not afraid to find and claim a friend, honey. Like she is out now in California, and I think that could be good for her if she was to go on to another city. I don't know how she would mesh with this current cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta, and that's the reason why I'm not really kind of asking for her to come back. She's a solid housewife. So if she came back, I think it would be okay. She is a very affable person, and I think she would make solid friends with any of these ladies. I just don't know what the dynamic or if they will pull out the best in Cynthia. And so I don't think I want to see her on Real Housewives of Atlanta. I will say there have been some rumblings that she could possibly be making appearances, that she would be making some appearances on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Now, that could be fun, right? And listen, for obvious reasons, I think she could team up with Garcelle. And I think that would make Garcelle a little more interesting to me because I haven't really been living for Garcelle on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. I'm going to be completely honest with that. Beautiful woman. I've enjoyed a lot of her work, but just in this setting, I don't know. Something about it just hasn't been like giving me what I thought she would give on a platform like this. Her and Cynthia together, that could be really, really good. But yes, I think she would be a solid cast member on The Real Housewives of Atlanta, but I personally would want to see her move over to another city. Now, let's move into the current cast of Real Housewives of Atlanta. And I think a few of them need to go, and let's talk about why. All right, Candy. Listen, I love seeing Candy succeed on this show. I love seeing Candy just succeed, period, in life. She is really showing you can have it all, the businesses, the children, the husband, the look, right? Because Candy is beautiful. However, there are cracks in that. And I think having it all does come with some consequences. And we see kind of friction in her marriage. We've always seen it with her children now, her mom being really disrespectful to her husband. I thought we were past that, but we continue to see that. And seeing that season over season, it's starting to become stale to me. And for that reason, I think it might be time for us to say goodbye to Candy, y'all. And I know when you think of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, you also think of Candy in that number. And so this is in no way a knock to her. I just think the storylines that we've been getting from her feel a little repetitive with, respect to the different projects that she has going on. But year over year, to watch her mom be really disrespectful to her husband, to watch her husband just kind of, feel like he's not being as supported in the marriage as he has been. So yeah, I think we can say goodbye to Candy. My girl, Kenya Summer Moore. Wow. One of the most gorgeous women to ever grace our television screens. Like, I'm not even lying to you. You pull up any clip of Kenya from back in the day on somebody's sitcom to earlier seasons of Real Housewives of Atlanta to right now, Kenya is perfection, physical perfection. She's so beautiful, a living, breathing Black Barbie doll. But Kenya is another one that doesn't want us in her business anymore. She's going through what seems to be a pretty tumultuous divorce with Mark. We're getting no insight into that. And not that we just need to have it, but I do think, when you sign up for a reality show like this, particularly one called The Real Housewives, when you are going through the process of no longer being a wife, I think viewers are entitled, feels like the wrong word, but that's the only word that's coming to me right now. I feel like viewers are entitled, if you will, to seeing some of what is going on with that. And I can tell that Kenya is dedicated to staying true to form as a quick-witted, shady villain character. But I feel like this season in particular is starting to feel a little forced to me. If we take it back to the whole Martell thing, beginning first two episodes of the season at the party, it felt really forced when she was on Watch What Happens Live talking about him. She's dedicated, and I give her that. Like, I love a person who is always willing to give us great television. But when I can tell, like, you're doing this because this is your job, this is the archetype that you fit on the show, it stops feeling authentic to me. And, we know reality TV is not real, but I want to feel the fantasy a little bit, right? And so she takes me out of the fantasy sometimes because I can tell that she's just working. Sheree, another very beautiful woman, great with the old guard, right? She was great. Nene, Porsha, Kenya, and Candy in earlier seasons. Sheree right now is just being reduced to this dating storyline. It's the same thing that I just complaining about another housewife not showing us her love life. And then now we get to Sheree and I'm complaining about her showing her love life. but I just feel like it is lacking some depth there. Sheree is always gonna be good for a funny moment. She's gonna be really good for like a quotable. But I feel like after us spending so many seasons with Sheree, I still feel like I don't really know her that well. And I don't know, do you guys agree with that? I don't know how well I should really be knowing someone who doesn't owe me anything but good television, but there's something with Sheree that I'm just feeling like I don't know her as well as we've gotten to know the other ladies. And if we say goodbye to Sheree for good this time, I would be okay with that. Okay, Marlo. So I think Marlo would have made a great peach holder with the aforementioned ladies, the old guard, if you will. I think this current cast of characters, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like Marlo fits well with them. It feels like she's trying to find her way. It feels like she should have a better relationship with Kenya and Candy, but those seem to be her main two targets. And then kind of with the newer women, it just doesn't feel authentic to me. Like in real life, I don't know that she would actually find herself hanging out with them. And so that's why Marlo, for this cast in particular, I think that's why it's just not gelling for me because it just doesn't feel believable. But take or leave Marlo. Listen, if Bravo was going to do the thing that they did with Real Housewives of New York and kind of clean house and then start fresh with a younger cast, I don't think Marlo fits into that. And it's not an ageist thing. I think Marlo just had a better relationship and she worked better with the other ladies, the OGs, if you will. Sanya, beautiful woman, beautiful family, but we can say goodbye to her. She just doesn't do it for me. There's nothing personal toward her. I'm just not feeling it. Drew, listen, I've been notoriously harsh on Drew Sidora, and it was because she was team try hard in the beginning. I feel like from her first scene, it just felt really forced to me. I felt like she was acting. Her husband, he never really sat well with me. Beautiful couple, very physically attractive people, but something in my spirit, right, just couldn't get with Drew. She just did a lot of cringy things, which a lot of people do. I'm not gonna hold it against her. A lot of people do. You're in this new environment, you're on something as iconic as the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Of course, you wanna set yourself apart and you wanna be that housewife that people are quoting and making memes out of. So I think a lot of women come on here and they try a little too hard, but that doesn't make it less cringy or less off-putting, right? And so that's where I've been with Drew until I realized, hey, there is some potential with Drew. She's going through a divorce with a husband that a lot of people have felt was questionable, Rob. So she's now going through a divorce from this person that people never really trusted anyway. And so I think that's going to be a really interesting storyline for us as viewers. And if Real Housewives of Atlanta does decide to skew younger, Drew could be a really good bridge from the people that we have been used to seeing because she's been on the last two seasons and kind of ushering in a new cast of younger women in Atlanta doing their things. She could be friends with some people or bring on friends that we actually believe she is friends with in real life. To that point though, about the Real Housewives of Atlanta going younger, my only issue with it going younger is it'll feel like a completely different show. The magic with the Real Housewives franchise right across any city was the fact that we were watching these like middle-aged, upper middle class to wealthy women just act a damn fool on television. We were watching how their kids were dealing with their moms being on television and how their husbands were dealing with how their families were. So it was really, I think, just new territory because a lot of times when people think of TV, they do think younger or they think of like really specific subcultures that can kind of really get into one dimensional. But it was a different like age demographic when I started watching them many moons ago. It felt fresh in that regard. So I think if all of the franchises or all of the cities clean house and then just come back with a newer, younger cast, it doesn't feel unique anymore. It doesn't feel like the Real Housewives that we have grown to love. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, they do a good job at kind of introducing younger women into the cast and kind of seeing how they fit when they brought in Crystal. I thought, regardless of how you felt about her, she wasn't the worst casting choice that they had made. I think the magic sauce is to marry the two, but I'm not a casting director, so I don't know how you would quite do that with a city like Atlanta. It feels sort of like it has to be all or nothing. And so that's all I got today. I just wanted to talk about that. I tweeted at the beginning of the season, matter right, wrong, or indifferent, I was gonna ride for the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I am now like a couple episodes behind. So I'm about to go and catch up and try to get through these last couple of episodes. But I would love to hear your thoughts about the casting. What do you think? Do they need to clean house and start completely new? Do you really want the OGs to come back? Is there a world where you feel like the OGs can come back and really recapture the magic of the old Real Housewives of Atlanta? Let me know all of your thoughts. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys so much for being here. I look forward to talking to you all about this. Bye.